Jews, whether they be in America, or whether they be in Africa, or whether they be in Papua New Guinea, they automatically enter directly into the annals of Western sacred history. They are part of the original players. They are relatives of Jesus, the patriarchs, the prophets, the saints. And it's a wonderful kind of liberation from the trauma of the African condition since the beginning of slavery.
A treatise on physical geography, comprising hydrology, geognosy, geology, meteorology, botany, zoology, and anthropology by A. Barrington. This was first published in the year 1850. 1850. I always tell you, get the old books, While we were still in slavery, let's see what these scholars have put together regarding the Israelites. All right. Thus the Jews are a people who have ever, according to the prophecy, dwelt alone, without intermixing with the nations to this day. Now this separate race all descended from brown ancestors, for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob must have been as dark as Mar Yohanan, if not darker, exhibit every shade of color from the black Jews of Malabar, of whom we have such an interesting account by Claudius Buchanan, to the rose lily complexion of the Jewess on the banks of El Bidos, Amalek. Those are converts. We need go no further than the Jews of southern Spain and compare them with those of Holland and northern Germany to perceive a very striking difference. Because remember, you had original black Jews, and then you had white Jews, which were converts. The Spanish Jew is always dark complexioned, and his hair is uniformly black, whilst the German Jew, this convert, is often as fair as any German and has light or red hair with blue eyes. These are converts, these are Edomites. The various shades of color observable among the Negro or African race tends to the same conclusion. Along the coast of Guinea, which is low, marshy, and hot, we find jet black complexions, and this is the very country from which American Negroes have been derived. So these American Negroes, they know, are Jews. These are Israelites, descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Fact. Light and truth collected from the Bible and ancient and modern history, containing the universal history of the colored and the Indian race. This was published in 1844. 1844. All right, I'm on page 249. Page 249. The Hebrews are called after Heber, pronounced Eber, their great father, from whom all the Hebrews descended. The Israelites are called after the great father Israel. Remember, Israel's name was Jacob, descended from Eber. The Jews are descendants from Judah. That's where the word Jew comes from. Jew is short for Judah. It's an abbreviation. The Jews are descendants from Judah, their great father, and are called after him in Africa and Asia. Did y'all see that? The Jews are descended from Judah, their great father, and are called after him in Africa. Showing you the real Jews are black. Page 348. The prophet Noah. Noah, the son of Lamech, was a prophet of the antediluvian world. A knowledge of the deluge, was made known to him about 120 years before the flood. He was a just man and a faithful preacher of righteousness. He warned the people of their destruction by a flood. God commanded Noah to build the ark, or great ship, and Ham, a mighty man, helped to build the ark at God's command. The posterity of Noah, who inhabited the earth after the flood, were a colored people, and their language was Hebrew. See the historical books of the ancients. This language was originally given to man by his creator, and afterwards broken into a multitude of tongues at Babel. The Hebrew, it is almost certain, was the language of Adam and Eve, and it is certain their complexion was black. Solomon, the Song of Solomon the wise man. The words of Solomon, the son of David, to his friends. I am black but comely, graceful, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. Look not upon me because I am black as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. Here Solomon describes his color to be as beautiful as the tents of Kedar, whose tents were made of black goat's hair. Wow. Isaiah the prophet of Amos. But they obeyed not the word of the Lord by the mouth of the prophet, and were led away young and old, naked and barefoot, into captivity, Isaiah 20. As they were black, so was he. He was Isaiah. As he was naked, so were they, led naked and barefoot, young and old, into captivity. Even to this day, from Africa, their descendants are led away by a wicked people into slavery. Wow. A brief history of the Wesleyan missions on the western coast of Africa. All right. This was published in 1851. You can see it right there, 1851. Thus they are fair, referring to the Jews. Thus they are fair in Britain and Germany, brown in France and in Turkey, swarthy means black, in Portugal and in Spain, olive in Syria and in Chaldees, tawny means black or copper colored in Arabia, in Egypt, and nearly black in Abyssinia. And yet they are all Jews of one common ancestry, nation, and language, though scattered o'er all the earth they lie. I want to look up this word. Where was swarthy at? We're going to look up swarthy, and in the same definition, you're going to also see tawny, this word here. Tawny and swarthy is synonyms. And the old definition is black. Watch this. Swarthy, etymology, alteration of swarthy, from swart plus y, from Old English swart, meaning black. Let's go down to the adjectives for swarthy. Number one meaning, tawny, dusk, dark. No, tawny, dusky, dark. Number two is dark-skinned. Let's jump down to the synonyms. Look at the synonyms. Dark-skinned, black, dusky, sable, sooty. Tawny, see tawny, dusky, dark, dark-skinned. Africa being an accurate description of the regions of Egypt, Barbary, Libya, and Bildergerd, the land of Negroes, Guinea, Ethiopia, and the Abyssinians. Abyssinians, that's Ethiopia. All right. This was published in 1670. Africa being an accurate description of the regions of Egypt, Barbary, Libya, and Bildelgered, the land of Negroes, Guinea, Ethiopia, and the Abyssinians. That's Ethiopia. Published in 1670. 1670. Let's go in. All right. I'm on page 34. That's the original page, but in this book it's on 31. All right. I'm going to start here. Many Jews also are scattered over this region, some natives boasting themselves of Abraham's seed. It's talking about Africa. See the title, Africa. Many Jews also are scattered over this region. What region? Africa. Some natives boasting themselves of Abraham's seed, inhabiting both sides of the river Niger, or Niger. Others are Asian strangers who fled thither either from the desolation of Jerusalem by Vespasian at 70 AD, or from Judea, wasted and depopulated by the Romans, Persians, Saracens, that's Muslims, and Christians, or else such as came out of Europe, whence they were banished. So it's referring to those Jews, those black Jews that were banished, those Jews that were keeping the commandments that were banished. Not all the blacks, but the ones keeping the commandments. Out of some, they were banished where? From where? Out of some parts of Italy in the year 1342, out of Spain in the year 1462, out of the Low Countries, that's the Netherlands, in 1350, out of France in 1403, out of England in 1422. These all differ in habit and are divided into several tribes, having no dominion, though both wealthy and numerous, but despised of all nations, and so abominated by the Turks that they are not admitted to be Mohammedans unless first baptized, and then no otherwise made use of than to receive their customs and gather in their taxes. The image of the black in Western art. This is a sculpture of Saint Maurice. We went over this several times. Also remember that this is edited by David Byman, who is I believe is a racist. Then you got Henry Louis Gates Jr., who's obviously asleep while this guy is writing. Okay, Henry Louis Gates must get paid to close his eyes to not see the evil and ignorance that this guy puts together. All right, let's go into the book. All right, I want you to take a look at this. I want to focus today on plaque or plate number 18, decorated initial florist, expositio in Epistolas Pauli, volume 2, following 67 V, Carby Abbey, 1164 in Paris. Bibliothèque Nationale, that's the library, National Library. Year is 1164. Now this, I'm assuming it says Exposito in Epistolas Pauli. Seems like it's Epistle of Paul. Number 18. But let's go inside. Let's go to the next page, because that's how these quote-unquote scholars do things and when they hide things from us. Watch this. All right. Here's number 18, but it starts over here. All right. Given the present state of our knowledge, it is very hard to find a place in this study for a series of decorated initials. Decorated initials. We're going to focus here. Decorated initials dating from the 12th century, that's 1164, I just showed you, in which the figures of partially or totally nude men with more or less clearly marked black characteristics form the stem of the capital letter P. So there's a black man who's going to be in a design of the capital letter P. Okay. These initials appear in a group of manuscripts executed in northern France, and they include one common trait. They are all connected with St. Paul's epistles. So let's take a look at this letter of St. Paul in the year 1164. Bam. So here's the P. I want y'all to see. Here's the circle, and here's the stem. Let me pull back. So y'all can see it. This is a P. Z. P. A. U. L. U. S. Paulus. Paul. Why does Paul's letter have a black man with a sword going through the head? Remember in Hebrews 4 says the word of God is quicker than a two-edged sword. So Paul has himself in this design a black man with a sword. Here's the legs, here's his feet. I want y'all to see this and look at it good. So Paul's letters shows him as a black man, like in Acts 21:26, where they thought Paul was an Egyptian. He said, "No, verily I'm a man of Tarsus, a Jew." All right, let's go back to the writings again. Okay, now I'm going to the next section, number 22. One of the most negroid in appearance, if only because of the hair done in tight curls, is in Corby manuscript. More exotic is the figure wearing an odd-looking short garment seen in a manuscript of the New Testament, now in Bergen-Bressy. Unfortunately, its province is not known. The reason for the appearance of this type in northern France is still not clear to us. They never want to admit the Jews are black and we lived in France. This guy, David Bond, is a demon. So here's the other letter. Is a P, a negroid man, but this is more blue in complexion, blue in color, with this little outfit on. But he's a black man. And there's a serpent he's fighting. The serpent got his mouth on his head. All right, remember this is number 22. Decorated initial introducing St. Paul's epistle to the Colossians. You see that? Decorated initial introducing St. Let me zoom in a little closer. Decorated initial introducing St. Paul's epistle to the Colossians, New Testament. Y'all see that? And Psalter following Nangi 1V, second half of the 12th century. That's around 1164. So here's another one of St. Paul. This is more blue in complexion, but he's fighting a serpent, a snake. Now you notice here, they tell you straight, St. Paul's epistle, right, to the Colossians. Notice what did you forget the other one? When we went to this one, plate number 18, it's not in English too much. decorated initial floris expositio in epistolas Pauli. So if you didn't have a clue to know that this is Epistle Paul, but they don't want to make it too plain. Why? Because here is clear that Paul is described or shown as a black man with a sword. Do y'all see that? Do you Christians see that?
Read that, Jalil.
Says the Annunciation Cathedral, domes 1489 to 1566.
All right, this is in the Moscow Kremlin. Let's get the next image, please.
The Annunciation Cathedral, interior 1489.
So this is the interior. Let's look at the interior, please. You'll see all the black images of the Israelites on the wall. Putin didn't make a mistake. Our people here in America have been lied to throughout the continent of Africa, have been lied to throughout the world. Our people have been lied to. Go down, raise it up, Yeah, right there. Look in the back on the right side. Yep, right there too. Black images of Israelites. Let's get to the next picture on the inside of the same cathedral. Next picture. Come on.
The Annunciation Cathedral, interior 1489.
14. Remember, we went into slavery in Spain. What year, brothers? 1441. 1441. I need to know that you guys are studying. All right, you see Christ in the center there beneath the chandelier? That's Christ. You got Mary opposite him. You got John the Baptist on my right side, right there. You got the archangels Gabriel and Uriel on opposite sides. And above, you see other Israelite kings and priests that the Bible speaks of. All black. It's unmistakable. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No, they're not ambiguous blacks. Those are blackety blacks. Let's get the... Right, it wasn't a fire, because you can see the garments.
They are shine black, Bishop.
Yes. Give me the next book, please, from Bulgaria. The Bulgarian monasteries.
Yeah, Bishop, you remember that picture looked like the picture we see in, you remember when we went to Jerusalem? That when we went back there, when you went back there, so let's look at these pictures.
Jerusalem got some of these images and they hide them in their churches and way in the back with no lights. Not for the public. When we go places, we just rebel. They don't like us. You won't let's follow orders. No, we don't do that. This is from in Bulgaria, monastery. From the next picture. That's the monastery right there. Let's get the next one. Oh, what I forgot to do. Go back. So can you zoom in on the picture? Right there. See in the center?
Yeah.
Right there. IT, right there, yeah. I forgot to zoom in on that. I got it at home, but I didn't bring it today. Images of Israelites over the entrance to the church. All this proves is that we ruled Russia, we ruled Europe for over 1,000 years. I'm not saying we were righteous and holy because we were not righteous and holy. We were idolaters, we were fornicators, adulterers, murderers, you name it, we was doing it. Give me the next picture, please. Next one. Zoom in on the highlighted section.
The river of fire in the form of a huge snake dragon emerging from the mouth of hell and making for the figure of Christ, the righteous judge seated on a throne.
Right, now lower it. Lower it, I want to get to Christ. Lower it, lower it, lower it. There's Christ right there. Put the highlight so they know exactly what I'm talking about. Right there, that one's Christ right there. Notice he's black. This is in Bulgaria. This is in, I believe it's Eastern Europe, if I'm not mistaken. You got, look at all the black faces, black hands, black arms, black lips, everywhere. Don't get mad, get glad. They ain't gonna teach you this in school. They ain't gonna teach you this in church. We try to share this with the churches. They mad at us. How dare you go against white Jesus? There's no such thing as a white Jesus. Give me the next picture. Now that one was whitewashed, but that's not why I want this page. Zoom in on the highlight. Read that,
There is something extremely dynamic in the mocking of Christ, in which the two squatting, crooked, and gesticulating figures around Christ are particularly lifelike.
Gesticulating.
Gesticulating figures around Christ are particularly lifelike and very expressive. However, the composition of the crucifixion makes the strongest impression.
So we're going to look at the picture of the crucifixion. Go ahead. What are you doing? Keep reading.
The subject has been realistically treated on many planes with the three crucifixions, besides the group of women.
Group of women?
Headed by the Holy Virgin and Mary Magdalene.
Go ahead.
And the Apostle John. Two of the executioners are present with Jews and the centurion. Demas, the wise robber, who has believed in Christ before the crucifixion, is nailed to the cross with his face towards it.
Stop. You ever hear people on the street say, you can wait till you're about to die, then repent on your deathbed, and then use the man on the cross? Notice what the white man realized. It says, Demas, the wise robber, who has believed in Christ before the crucifixion, is nailed to the cross with his face towards him. That's why he was able to say Christ was, hey, Jalil, just find me the scripture so I don't miss, somebody help me out. No, not that part, but the part where he says he calls Christ blameless or something like that. A just man. Right. So this man was a follower of Christ, like we've been telling y'all. Some of y'all say, oh, y'all just made that up. No, even the white man know that. Now the white man saying, now you believe. Find me one. Luke 23:32.
Yes, sir. Luke chapter 23, verse 32. And there was also two other malefactors, led with him to be put to death. And when they were come to the place which is called Calvary, there they crucified him, and the malefactors, one on the right hand and the other on the left. Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiments and cast lots, and the people stood beholding. And the rulers with them derided him, saying, He saved others.
Wait a minute, where's the part where they're talking?
Verse 39. And one of the malefactors which were hanged railed on him, saying, If thou be Christ, save thyself and us. But the other answering rebuked him, saying, Dost thou not fear God?
See, listen to his words. Don't you fear God? Go ahead.
Seeing thou art in the same condemnation?
Go ahead.
And we indeed justly.
And we deserve to be put to death. Go ahead.
For we receive the due reward of our deeds.
Watch the next line.
But this man hath done nothing amiss.
Now, how do you know that? How do you know that? Now, watch the next verse.
And he said unto Jesus, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom.
Boom. That's the proof that he was a follower of Christ. That's the evidence he followed Christ. And he fell into this sin. And then Christ said this day, read on.
And Jesus said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise.
So do y'all see that? Everybody, if y'all don't understand, y'all understand, right? I hate a dead room. Go back to the book.
It says...
No, not you. Give me the next picture to show them on the cross. This is them on the cross. Just zoom in on the picture. We don't need the words. Look at that. Everybody black. Do y'all see black Jesus right there in the middle? Do you see black Demas, the wise robber, on one side and the other robber, the malefactor, on the right? You got the Jews. They said the Jews are present. The Jews are black, by the way. Got the Jews right there, black, those are right there, wicked as hell. You got Mary and Mary Magdalene right there, and John, it said, and the one that stabbed him, that's the centurion. John's over to the right. Go to the right. Right there, that's John. Everybody's black. Wow.
What this shows is that they never thought that black folks would get hold to this book.
Exactly.
Because first of all, they told the truth, Esau told the truth in the writing.
Right.
And then he got him as black on the cross.
Yep.
And meanwhile, the churches are still with this, you can just eat pork all the way to the damn cross.
Right.
And talk about something you're gonna make it. Lord, take me, please. No. No.
Jesus, take me.
Esau knows that.
Yep.
Esau knows that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you also have to read it within how he think. They're showing you image is very important. Esau understood that. Because if it was not important, why would he give us the white?
Exactly.
Image is very, very important.
That's right. They know image leads to vision, leads to resurrection, leads to reviving. And so we can't have them folks waking up. Give me the next book, please. Many of you should have this book. I got this book back in 1992, I believe it was. Ivan Van Sertima is a legendary historian. All right? I haven't touched on this book since the early days when I showed Japheth was black. This book goes into showing, y'all saw the movie Troy? It shows you in the book about, what's his name? Miletus, what's his name? The guy that Achilles didn't like. Menelaus, whatever. Menelaus is in the book, black of the seed of Japheth. All of them supposed to be the seed of Japheth at that time. But anyway, going next page. That's not what we come to talk about today.
Agamemnon.
Yeah, him too. Let's read right there.
Yes, sir. The Roman occupation of England under the African emperor Septimius.
So he's telling you Septimius Severus was a black man. Okay.
Who had brought
And he was an Israelite, but he was not righteous. He hated his people keeping the commandments. He got a book on him slaughtering the Israelites. Go ahead.
The African emperor Septimius Severus, who brought into England from Rome and from his home in Numidia, North Africa, large contingents of African officials and soldiers around 200 AD. For more complete information on this event, consult Burley
So that's another historian. Go ahead.
and Ben Yehochanan.
There was another historian. That's another historian. Go ahead.
We must not forget about the 700 years of African Moorish domination over the Iberian Peninsula
That's Spain and Portugal.
and southern France.
See that? And southern France. We rule southern France. Go ahead.
711 to 1492 AD.
So we often talk about Spain, but rarely do we mention France.
It's called Septimania.
Rick, say it. Is his mic on?
Yeah, the place is called Septimania. France, southern Spain, southern Portugal. We had southern Italy. We all to the south. But Septimania was France. We reigning over France.
Next. Did you finish with it?
No,
Go
there
back
was
to the
more.
page.
There
It
was
was more.
The African presence in the British Isles is either acknowledged or totally avoided by...
Wait. Read that again. Notice what he says about this. Go ahead.
The African presence in the British Isles is either acknowledged or totally avoided by those scholars who do research in this area.
Most of the books you see that goes into the schools, it's avoided. It's no, they don't talk about that. It's not that they don't see it and discover. They go, oh, don't teach them that.
That's your King Arthur.
It said either. It's either acknowledged or what it say?
Totally
Totally avoided. It's acknowledged by those who are in that clique.
Right.
Esau is in their circles.
Right.
And they said we have to keep this among us to make sure that we don't allow them to get it.
That's right.
That's the group that's not knowing, meaning us.
Exactly.
That's why we got the White Eyes Only books, 1670s, 1700s. Those books, we was in slavery, or during Jim Crow, they had white libraries and black libraries. So all them White Eyes Only books, that's what he's talking about. And King Arthur, well, they call him King Arthur, but he was black also.
Yeah,
Right.
Bishop, the book right now is 1100.
1100?
Yep.
Wow. Y'all go to the library, y'all go to the African American book section. or the Latino. But you ain't learning nothing in the book section about except Martin Luther King. The hell is this? Yeah.
That's the reason why blacks don't know about it, because it's $1,100.
Right. They do that.
That's how it's acknowledged on one end, because they got the money to buy it. Plus, they ain't gonna pay that much.
Yeah.
But for us, they're gonna price it out of your range, supposedly. But then we'll buy sneakers.
Yep. Give me the next page. Raise it up so we can see who I'm reading about. That whole top section.
Figure 1. The Roman Emperor Septimius Severus.
I can't even see it.
Figure 1.
Now lower it. Read.
Figure 1. The Roman Emperor Septimius Severus and family. From left back row, Julia Domna. Septimius, front row. Gita, face obliterated. Caracalla, property of the Statlike Museum. West Berlin. Source Septimius Severus Anthony Burley, 1972.
Right. Now the son's face was being whitewashed. The one they obliterated the face. That's what they do. They obliterate it, then they create a new face.
The way he wrote it like it was done on purpose. He didn't say that it like something happened to it. He said it was purposely obliterated.
Exactly. Like when they bust the nose and the lips off.
There you go, right there. When they knock the noses off.
That's what white folks do. They're so angry that their history is not as vast as they want the world to believe, as they've lied to everybody. So that's Septimius on the top right. That's him. He was black. Give me the next page, please. Zoom in. All I want is to highlight.
This contention is upheld by the Roman historian Pliny, who first saw the Britons in the 2nd century AD and described their complexion as Ethiopian.
Do y'all see that? The Britons were originally described as Ethiopian, meaning faces burnt, meaning black. Go ahead.
This description is further validated by Claudian, who described the victory of the Roman general Theodosius over the natives as he subdued the nimble black Moors.
Blackamoors. Give me the next page. Just the highlighted sections. Can you go back to the original page? Yes. Go ahead.
There are many tribes and many tongues. There are giants and dwarfs. There are black men and many kinds of strange tribes. Arthur Gwynne Jones also informs us that the Viking peoples were not all alike and emphatically not of one pure Nordic race.
Because when you think of Vikings, you think of blonde hair, blue. That's what everybody thinks. This scholar says, and this ain't, he's quoting another scholar. He said they're not all of one race. Right. Go ahead.
Indeed, not only were Africoid peoples
That means black folks, by the way, Africoid. Go ahead.
living in Scandinavia.
Where?
Scandinavia during the Middle Ages.
Wow.
But different varieties of African dwarves, an example, Twa, like those mentioned in the literature, and giants or tall Africans like Thorhall the Hunter, a Viking who was the mentor and closest companion of Eric the Red.
You see that? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Thorhall was described as a large man and strong, black, and like a giant.
Raise it up. They
may have been uncharted for the white Vikings who saw Thorhall's service as a guide.
Because the white Vikings didn't know nothing. They needed the black guy to help them. Go ahead.
This matter has been one of the great concern of the scholars, for it is discussed in most translations of Eric's saga. There were other black Norsemen mentioned in the sagas.
I didn't know Norsemen were black. Now they're letting you know that there were black Norsemen. Go ahead.
Like Thorstein the Black. One must keep in mind, therefore, that when the British Isles were invaded by the Vikings, some of these Norse raiders were Africoid.
Whoa, that's some good stuff right there. Let's read on.
Sturluson also writes about Halfdan the Black, first king of a united Norway.
Norway had a black king. Wow.
Just as I had to refer to different versions of Heimskringla, different translations of the same work by different authors, the novice must keep in mind at all times.
Wait, I need you to pay attention to this. So, Ivan Van Sertima is saying he had to consult various scholars on this topic. He's going to explain why. Read it again from Just.
Just as I had to refer to different versions of Heimskringla, different translations of the same work by different authors, the novice must keep in mind.
The word novice means beginners. The beginner, if you're a historian and you're a beginner, keep in mind, go ahead,
at all times that he or she cannot consult just one or just any old version of a work in this area.
Y'all see that? Watch this.
It is often the case that each book contains only certain bits of information.
Do y'all see that? You got meaning one book, you might get a big old book, but that one book got one little sentence. And you gotta cross-reference that sentence with another scholar. That's how Esau wrote books.
That's exactly what it said.
That's why they call them, you ever hear the terminology Rhodes Scholar? A Rhodes Scholar learns how to go from one book to the next. A line and a sentence which matches with another. You create cross-reference.
They see us do that and they say, how in the hell did you guys learn to do that?
Right.
And then they be mad as hell.
Go ahead.
It is often the case that each book contains only certain bits of information, some of which are not to be found in other books.
Y'all see that? They take it out. Go ahead.
When I consulted the book Heimskringla as edited by Hollander, he proposes that Halfdan was called the Black because of his black hair.
But watch this.
When Jones seems honest enough to set the record straight about Halfdan and other notable Scandinavian Africans, because she is talking about skin and not just hair.
You see that? That's right. He had to go through various books to find that out. I tell you, the white man's the devil, y'all. If y'all don't know, now you know. Come on. Yeah, go ahead.
That's the reason a lot of people think that the discrimination in the school system was about color. Meaning like they didn't want black, they didn't want you sitting next to white folks. No. It was how to teach them how to do this cross-reference and stuff.
Right.
And they can't do that with you sitting in the room with them.
Yeah, Bishop, you know what's so heavy beyond that? They're showing you these historians, they're dealing with code.
Yes,
Code of
code.
words. They understand
yes.
what's going on.
Yep. Next page. Read that.
Figure 3. Tyre, an early woolly-haired Norse god who preceded Thor as a sky deity. This image was
That's
found.
where they got Thor from right there. Go ahead.
This image was found at Torslanda on the Baltic island of Åland and dated from the 6th century AD. Source: Hammer of the North, Magnus Magnusson, 1976, page 59.
Next page. Just that bottom section with the words.
Figure 8.
Can we see the picture too, please? Go ahead.
Figure 8. A woolly-haired Swedish warrior of the Viking Age. Source: The Vikings O. Madsen, page 77.
Can we look at the picture? Lower it so we can see the whole thing. Do y'all see the black guy in the center? Y'all see that? Yes, go ahead.
I always pick up little things. As you notice that as he's putting these artifacts out there and he writes under there such and such, and then he says source from where it came from.
Right.
You know why you got to do that? Because black people will not believe black folks.
Mm-hmm.
We have to say that we got the records and we went here, we went there, so you can't say I'm lying.
Right.
Meanwhile, Esau will put up Charles Manson and say that's Jesus.
And everybody
Show you,
believes it.
and no scriptures, nothing.
They all believe it.
They all believe it. All believe it. And the Bible contradicts what they say, but people still tell us, I don't know. They reading it in the Bible and they said, no. Y'all got it wrong.
That's some power.
That's some power, boy. That's some stuff right there. That shows you what we're dealing with.
And that guy you saw earlier is an Apicoid Tyr. That's a character in God of War. They made him tall and white rather than tall and black, like the description has it.
Go
It is
back to the
whitewashed.
picture so we can see what he's talking
Call him
about.
Tyr. But in God of War, it was a character they're trying to find. He's a giant.
The
Go
one
back.
before it.
Before that one.
I thought you had that book. You did. That one right there.
Yeah, that's Tyr. He was mad tall with red hair in the game, but he's black as hell with big lips here. So
Right.
they whitewashed all that history, all that Nordic history, Thor, all that. They got Thor killing, bashing black Edomites with a hammer in some descriptions, but in other descriptions, he's a white guy bashing people with a hammer. So they change things around. So that's Tyr.
Yep. Next page. Next page. All right, let's read the bottom.
Yes, sir. Figure 9. A dark-skinned, woolly-haired, prominent individual from a 10th century AD Danish stone motif. Source, The Vikings. O. Madison, 1976, page 63.
So this is the Danes. Lower it so we can see the face. Look at that. Peppercorn hairstyle. That's an art technique when you're doing black people's hair. In sculpture, you make the hair like that. They call it peppercorn technique. Give me the next page, please. Bottom highlights.
It becomes clear that in these early periods, the possession and control of Britain was for a long time up for grabs.
People were warring for control of it. Go ahead.
It is only logical for the fears and hatred that resulted from the martial interactions of the contestants to have remained very much alive, and also for a long time, as Mac Ritchie points out.
So Mac Ritchie's another historian. Pay attention to this. Read the highlights.
The black giants of the Welsh
Go ahead.
and other tales are hateful and horrid.
And horrid.
The Welsh black oppressor
The Welsh black oppressor. Go ahead.
and the Black Knight of Lancashire are fierce tyrants.
So the black guys are tyrants. Go ahead.
The cruel foes of all white people.
The cruel foes of all white people. That's it. He got that from a scholar. Huh? That's some heavy. They ain't gonna teach you that in school. And you know what's heavy about that? A lot of people always, why do they hate us so much? We didn't do anything to them. They know history. We don't know. These guys used to rule over us. We can't. That's what. If you ever see Planet of the Apes, they said we can never let the monkeys rule us. It's all a metaphor. Go ahead.
At a later date, when the whites were gaining the ascendancy,
When they were ruling, starting to rule, conquer.
and the blacks were cut up into straggling bands,
See that? And the blacks were cut up into straggling bands. Go ahead.
or lurking like the Black Moro of Galloway in solitary dens and forest shades, out of which they issued by night, intent on murder and raping. Even at this stage of their history, the blacks were the dreaded enemies of the whites. Indeed, it is of this epoch that the popular imagination has most retained the impression. The days of black oppression are so remote that their memory only lives in half-forgotten legends.
Wait, pause it right there. Jalil, give me Revelation 12, or is it 11? For these two prophets, I want that. People, y'all be reading that going, I don't understand why the Bible's saying that. Because this white man has hid so much history. Read that.
Revelations 11 and 10. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them.
So they rejoiced when they conquered us. Go ahead.
And make merry.
And they made Merry Christmas, a holiday, which celebrated our downfall. Go ahead.
And shall send gifts one to another.
They sent our sons and daughters as gifts one to another.
Because these two prophets,
that's the two kingdoms,
tormented them.
We tormented them. Go ahead. That's right.
Tormented them that dwell on the earth.
That's the history that we've forgotten, that we're coming back to now. Go back now. Where you was at?
Last sentence.
Last sentence.
The days of black oppression are so remote that their memory only lives in half-forgotten legends.
Half-forgotten legends. Go ahead.
Not so. Not so. The time when the black castles were owned by another race and their former masters were skulking among woods and caves.
Meaning white folks in cave. Give me the next book, please. Remember, I always show y'all this. Image of the black. Let's go inside. This is us fighting against these Edomites in Europe. And in this book, a lot of them don't tell you the locations of where these are. This is what Game of Thrones is based on. where the blacks were fighting against the wildlings. Those are the wildlings on the left. Give me the next picture.
The book is from Harvard.
Right, the book is from Harvard.
The book is
Thank
from
you.
Harvard.
Harvard University.
It's on the front cover. It tells you that.
Hey, you know what? I did a lecture at Officer Ira's school a couple of years ago. Maybe it was 8 years ago. And we went to the library. What was the name of the school?
It was Bergen Community College.
Bergen Community College. And we ran up there and they had one of these books. And the audience was so shocked. Where'd y'all get those books from? Your library. You've been taught to go to that stupid African American section. You're missing the main history. Go ahead. Give me the next one. You have to excuse me, I got a slight cold. Give me the next page. This is the, can you zoom in on the writing under it? No, under the pictures, yeah, right. Oh, thank you. That's not that clear. I took the photos this morning, I'm sorry. This was the Pucci family. This was the Pucci family. No, I didn't take a, oh, they should have it in folder.
Look
But this
for
is
it
in Europe.
Yeah, look for this in a folder, because Bishop showed this before.
Give me the next page. If y'all find it, just let me know.
76. Capture of Demetia, Joinville, via the Saint Louis, page 83, Paris.
Right, this is them raiding our castle.
About 1350, Paris.
1350, Paris. Next page. Zoom in, top. Y'all see them chopping us up on the right over there. We like to say, the author said, we lost the battle. They began to, Esau began to ascend. Look at the next one, go to the left now. Here, right there. Yep, they climbing up. We look at these movies and we see white people fighting white people. It was them fighting us. And it's so hard for us to even imagine that we ruled anything. And organized, now it's not us. Surely it's just white people, it's not us. Raise it up. Look at that. Look at that, look at that. Give me the next page. Zoom in. Read that.
Ancient Greece.
So this goes back to the book, what was it, the name of this book? Early History and African Present Early Europe. Not that one, I switched books. Go back. I'm going back to the original book. This is the original one. In case y'all get the book and you want to know where this is. Go ahead.
Ancient Greece, the Roman Empire, the Arabs, and latter the Genoese and Turks had colonies on the Black Sea coast where the slave trade flourished. Naturally, Africans appeared on the slave markets in the Caucasus and Crimea.
So up in Russia, we were on the slave markets. Go ahead.
But probably the greatest flow of African slaves occurring during the 16th to 18th centuries when the Black Sea coast was part of the Ottoman Empire. Abkhazia was the spot where most of the Africans were to be found.
All this is up there near Russia. Go ahead.
The Abkhazian sovereign, Prince Shervastide, had many slaves of African origin.
You don't read about none of that in school. They don't teach us this. Go ahead.
The Turks living along the Black Sea coast also had many African slaves.
That's near the Caucasus, the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. Go ahead.
When Abkhazia was annexed to Russia in 1810, some of these slaves were taken by their masters to Batumi and then to Turkey. For almost a century afterwards, up to the First World War, no one displayed any interest in the Africans living in Russia.
Oh, I didn't even know we lived in Russia. But watch the next sentence. Go ahead.
Tsarist officials were completely indifferent to the fate of non-Russian peoples inhabiting Russia.
Here come.
Russian statistical data of that time referred to Africans as Arabs or Jews.
Do y'all see that? So you get books in Russia and you read about Arabs or Jews, not realizing they're talking about black people. That's some cold-blooded stuff right there. They talking code. If you don't go to their schools and all, you're not gonna know what they're talking about. But there is a God. There is a God. Give me the next book. Oh, you found it? Put it up. Yes, in Russia. Y'all think Vladimir Putin just love black people? Y'all simple as hell. Yeah, that's it. That's a better photo. I still can't read it, but that was the Pucci family. Oh, okay, good. Go ahead, say it.
The name is Pucci. Is a short. It means it's Jacob Pucci. It means Jacob. The name means the family of Jacob. That's what it means.
Yeah, I see it. P-U-C-C-I.
Jacob Pucci. Jacob Pucci is the name.
Oh, okay.
That's the full name. Jacob Pucci is the name.
Bishop,
The Medici family overthrew them and took over. That name is very popular. Those guys were heavily involved in the slave trade and taking over and conquering us. The Medici, M-E-D-I-C-I family intermarried with them and took over.
So you're saying that's one name?
Yeah, Jacob Pucci is the whole name. We call it
So
Pucci for
show
short.
the faces.
See it, J-A-C-O-P, Jacob Pucci.
Y'all see the faces? Them black folks right there.
Bishop,
Get mad, we don't care. I'm getting glad. I get glad.
Bishop, you know how these white people be stealing. That's probably the original place from where they got Gucci from.
Right, exactly.
Okay? That's it right there.
Exactly. Give me that next book, please.
The Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race, a study of the settlement of the England and the tribal origin of the Old English people by Thomas William Shore.
No, it's white folks. Next page. When was it published?
First published in 1906.
1906. Go ahead, next page. Let's zoom in.
For example, there is the common name Brown. This has been derived from the Anglo-Saxon brun, signifying brown. It is not reasonable to doubt that when our forefathers called a man brun or brown, they gave him this name as descriptive of his brown complexion.
Y'all see that?
That's where the term brunette comes from.
Right,
You're a
correct.
brunette or burnished brass. It's brun. It's the same thing.
The custom of calling people by color names from their personal appearance or places after them was clearly not peculiar to our own country. It is probably that the name Brunswick was derived from the brown complexion of its original inhabitants.
Y'all see that? Original inhabitants.
Black, or where it occurs at the beginning. Black and where it occurs at the beginning of words in such a combination as Dunningland, it is possible that it refers to brown people or their children rather than the Anglo-Celtic word dun, a hill or fortified place.
That's why in the movie Glass, the guy's name is David Dunn.
Right.
David
Dunn.
Black David. That
A
was
lot
his
of them
name.
Irish
Bruce Willis.
guys got those names. Next page.
The consideration of the evidence that people of brunette complexions were among the Anglo-Saxon settlers in England.
You know, brunette is usually term for your hair color. Go ahead.
The consideration of the evidence that the people of brunette complexions were among the Anglo-Saxon settlers in England leads on to that of people of a still darker hue. The dark, black, or brown to black settlers.
Y'all see that? Dark, black, or brown, black settlers. Go ahead.
Probably there must have been some of
And
these.
this is white folks writing this. Go ahead.
Probably there must have been some of these among the Anglo-Saxons, for we meet with the personal names Blackmen, Blakeman, Blakernan, Blackaman, Black Sunni, Blaka, and Blackaman in various documents of the period.
Raise it up. Raise it up. Go ahead.
Another circumstance connected with these names, which it is desirable to remember, is the absence of evidence to show that the Old English ever called any of the darker complexion Britons brown men or black men. Their name of them was whalers. So far as I am aware, not a single instant occurs in which
Hold that. You see that says Wales, right? W-E-A-L-A-S. I had to look it up. Give me the next page. I had to look it up. Next page. We're coming right back. Read that.
Foreigners. The English words for the descendants of one of these Celtic peoples, Welsh, and for their homeland, Wales, come from the Old English word Wale, meaning foreigner, stranger, Celt.
Right.
It is plural. Wales is the direct ancestor of Wales. Literally, foreigners, Celts. An Old English adjective derived from Wales
Right.
or
So,
Wales.
See that? Go ahead. What you gonna say?
Every name they have is a lie.
Right.
White people call black men, that's not even their name.
Right.
They're not even Welsh. We're Welsh. We're British.
Right.
That's all us. White men took over and took all those names.
Yep.
So all the last names we have even is really our last names.
Exactly.
But they renamed us their last names they stole from us, which is our last name. This is crazy. The Celtics. Celt means black too.
Yep. So go back to that Wales. Move
Yes,
me
sir.
off the screen.
Their name for them was Wales.
So now we know that means foreigner, stranger. Comes from Wales. Black people. Go ahead.
So far as I'm aware, not a single instance occurs in which the Welsh are mentioned in any Anglo-Saxon document as black or brown people. On the contrary, the Welsh annals mention black Vikings on the coast,
Y'all see that? They mentioned black Vikings on the coast. Go ahead.
as if they were men of unusual personal appearance.
Go ahead.
There is another old word used by the Anglo-Saxon to denote black or brown black people. There's another old word used by the Anglo-Saxon to denote black or brown black, the word swart. The personal names swart or swart may have been derived from this word and may have originally denoted people of a dark brown or black complexion.
That name Swart goes back to Stuart.
Right.
That's King James' last name. Black James. James Black. That's what his name means. Swart or Stuart. Like Stuarts or Swarthies, the same name.
Yep. Go
So-
ahead.
some names of this kind are mentioned in the Domesday record of Buckinghamshire and Lincolnshire. These may be of Scandinavian origin, for the ekname or nickname Swarthy is found in the northern sagas. Halfdan the Black was the name
That's what
of
we just read about them in Ivan Van Sertima's book. Go ahead.
Halfdan the Black was the name of a king of Norway who died in 863. The so-called black men of the Anglo-Saxon period probably included some of the darker Wendish people among them. Immigrants or descendants of people of the same race as the ancestors of the Sorbs of Lusatia on the borders of Saxony and Prussia at the present day. Some of the darker Wends may well have been among the Black Vikings.
Black Vikings. Never heard of it. Next page.
We can point in England to the fact that broad skulls are found in Anglo-Saxon graves, and to the historical fact that there were brown people in England during the Anglo-Saxon period. And there, the evidence must be left. It may, however, be borne in mind that as brown passes into dark brown or black, the literary evidence concerning brown Anglo-Saxons is strengthened by that relating to the black men, or to those designated by the old brown black word sword, and in some cases perhaps even by the old word dun.
Wow. That's some heavy stuff right there. Give me the next one.
Take a look at this. Y'all see the black slaves with yokes of iron on their neck? Very similar to the yokes of iron during the transatlantic slave trade. Let's read what it says. Thousands of war captives who were transformed into slaves made it possible for the Egyptian kings to implement their feats of engineering. chained captives are shown on these painted clay facing plaques from a building erected by Ramses II in honor of the king's brave warriors from the period of the 19th dynasty, 19th dynasty. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, it says these were war captives. You think when the Egyptians was putting yokes of iron on our neck, we didn't fight against them? Yes, we fought again. Oh, you thought we just stood there and they put yokes of iron on their neck? No, we fought. The only problem was we lost. But that was God's judgment. You gotta look at the similarities between these yokes of iron and the yokes of iron that America put on us. Here's the Israelites in Egypt working as slaves. What color are they? What color are the Israelites working? The same color as the taskmasters. These are not white folks. These are not Caucasians. Here's the Israelites picking grapes. In Egypt, what color are they? Black. What color are they? Black. The Egyptians became familiar with the horse and wagon after the victory of the Hyksos in the beginning of the long period, 1730 to 1580 before Christ existed, walked to earth, of the rule of Asiatic peoples in the land of the pharaohs. This painting on a coffin shows Tutankhamun, that's King Tut, shooting his enemies from a war chariot from the tomb of Tutankhamun, Egyptian Museum. Now we know Tutankhamun died as a child, but they gave him honor. Look, everybody that's fighting getting smashed are black. Look at the Egyptian slaves, the slaves of Egypt, those were the Israelites. Serving King Tut, black. This was us here. Slaves. Slaves. Israelite slaves. Israelite slaves. Muhammad, founder of Islam. Muhammad's first principle, which proclaimed Allah is Lord of the universe and there is no other, is essentially a Jewish doctrine. The phrase, "and Muhammad is his prophet," was added only later. The saying, "no one is a prophet in his own town," held particularly true for Muhammad. In Mecca, his birthplace, he was not received well. Mecca was the center of the paganism of the Arabian tribes. Muhammad was forced to flee and to make his hijrah to Yathrib, Medina in 622. There he initiated efforts to win converts to his faith among the city's Arab population. He became very close to the Jews. These are the black Jews, as I've been showing you, and this book has proven it. He became very close to the Jews and adopted various Jewish practices such as fasting on the Day of Atonement and facing Jerusalem in prayer. Even his scribe was a Jew. All these facts led the Jews to consider him one of the God-fearing and a light to the Gentiles, and they even helped him. But they did not regard him as a prophet of God. His demand that the Jewish tribe of Bani Qunuqua adopt his doctrines, the religion of Islam, was contemptuously rejected. Do y'all see that? It was this rebuff which accounted for Muhammad's eventual great hatred of the Jews. Those black Jews, he hated them. He abandoned the observances he had borrowed from Judaism, and as soon as his position among the Arab tribes grew stronger, he began attacking the Jews and their customs and even waged open warfare against them. The armies of the Arab tribes surrounded the Jewish communities in the vicinity of Medina and in northern Arabia and completely destroyed them. Only a few survivors succeeded in escaping the sword of the faithful to southern Palestine and Tamia. After Muhammad's death in 632, his followers in the Arabian Peninsula increased in numbers and power. Their religious fanaticism was combined with a lust for battle, and passion for conquest and plunder. So this is a brief history on how Muhammad was established or set himself up as a so-called prophet. Look here, I'm on page 94. Let's read the highlight. Simeon Bar Yochai wept and said, Lord of the universe, is it not enough for your sons what the evil kingdom of Edom, Rome, see they knew, the scholars know that Edom is Rome, did to them, that you must also send the kingdom of Ishmael against us? That's the Arabs. Y'all see that? Let's go down. And there will be a great hatred between them and the children of Esau, Rome. Let me read this part again. He sets a prophet of his choice over them who will conquer the land of Israel for them, and they will come and restore it to the Jews, and there will be a great hatred between them and the children of Esau, Rome. Y'all see that? But this book gives you the history. Notice it went from showing the Jews being black to the Arabs, Muhammad being established, and the Arabs hating and destroying us, enslaving us. Now it gets to the Khazars, how the white man fit into all of this, okay, and became Jewish. The Khazars. Numerous tribes in the Arabian Peninsula and in the various lands of the Near Middle East adopted Judaism. The most famous of these were the Khazars. The land of the Khazars in southern Russia extended from the Caspian Sea to the Black Sea. You know what that area is called? The Caucasus Mountains. As far as Crimea, the Khazars were a semi-nomadic pagan tribe whose chief was the Cajun. At the beginning of the 8th century, the Khazars became very strong by virtue of their domination of the trade route between the Byzantine Empire and the Far East. For this reason, both the Byzantine emperors and Baghdad caliphs were interested in cultivating the Khazars and bringing them under their influence by winning them to their religion. Paganism was on its last legs. Cajun Bullen of the Khazars, who reigned over his people in the middle of the 8th century, decided to abandon his pagan faith, but could not make up his mind what new faith to adopt. So when you read this, it tells you about a Jew and a Christian. A black Jew and a Christian came to him. Just to get to the point, this being the case, Cajun decided to adopt the faith of the Jews. This is how the white man became Jewish during the Middle Ages.
No, I don't think there was another one. All right, so let's get a Lord a hand for that thing right there. That was some good stuff. So now we're going to get into the topic. I know I rambled on, but I thought it was worth it.
Today, it is prohibited, and you can Google this, to do a DNA test in Israel. Totally forbidden. Wrong. It's illegal. It's a crime. You'll be jailed if you do a DNA test in Israel. Why? Because they know the truth will come out. You come from Poland, you come from Ukraine, you came from Europe, you came from everywhere else. And they were the original Middle Eastern Jews who lived together with the Muslims and the Christians for centuries. For centuries. So what happened to a lot of the Jews?
Watch what this lady says about the black community being Israel's biggest problem.
The major problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community. Black Lives Matter starts there. I had last week sit-down dinner at my house with people which are considered the leadership of the black community.
They know that the Jewish people in Israel are not the original people.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israelite, that's what we are. That's what we are. Give me time. If you give me time. How that he said?
I know. We don't have
so many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yeah.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger!
This feels like Christmas morning. I got a 23andMe ancestry and health kit. I think that I kind of want to start with the ancestry side. And it says ancestry composition. I'm 49.9% Ashkenazi Jewish. That's not a huge surprise to me at all, since my mom's side of the family is completely Jewish. My huge surprise to me at all, since my mom's side of the family is completely Jewish. My huge surprise to me at all, since my mom's side of the family is completely Jewish. My dad's side is not Jewish though. So let's go to there. Let's see what's going on. This is like, I feel really like on the spot. Okay, so I'm 100% European, which again is not a huge surprise to me, but it's just funny seeing it like that. I'm 49% Ashkenazi Jew, totally. British and Irish and German and French, a little bit Scandinavian, Northeastern European. Yeah, it's not super exciting, but I kind of know all of that information. I didn't realize how much my family was from Germany.
I'm white. Unseasoned. Caucasian.
I'm about to show you something extremely controversial. It's even illegal in the state of Israel to obtain this. And if you do obtain it, it's illegal to show it and or talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, my DNA. Now, I bet you thought it was going to be a lot crazier than that, right? Now, you might ask yourself, why is it illegal to obtain this in the state of Israel? Because it proves through your DNA that Jews around the world have no ancestral ties to the land of Israel.
Does having Jewish DNA determine your Jewish status? Great question. The answer is your Judaism is determined by your mother. If your mom's Jewish, you're Jewish according to traditional Judaism. Now, you could have a very high count of Jewish DNA, and that's awesome. That means you're connected to the Jewish people, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're Jewish. Don't forget, there are people that convert to Judaism and they have zero DNA and they're 100% Jewish.
Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger!
So I don't expect you to be able to provide genetic or ancestral receipts for your claims about us Jews, because those kinds of receipts are illegal in Israel without a court order and other special permissions. The Jerusalem Post explains such a thing cannot exist as kits sold directly to the public, going on to say that they have possible effects on subjects and their families. Furthermore, the national implications of these tests could hold or affect, nice grammar, Jerusalem Post, could hold or affect with Israel being a government-recognized Jewish state. Don't you just love when they say the quiet parts out loud? But since they won't let you get receipts for us Jews, I brought my own. Wow. So I, an Ashkenazi, have no genetic or ancestral ties to the region of historic Palestine.
They know that the Jewish people in Israel are not the original people. The Jewish people in Israel are not the original people. The Jewish people in Israel are not the original people. The Jewish people in Israel are not the original people.